Welcome to 100 Yards Football. Today it's another history special. It's Doug Williams, MVP, Super Bowl versus the Denver Broncos, January the 31st, 1988. So if you like the video today, please come in and share it. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. Special thanks to my producer, Mr. Jeremiah Long, Oak Ridge in the house, Knoxville, Tennessee. I would not be where I'm at without this young man and what he's done for me coming into my life about 4 years ago and just changing the direction of me in this business. Then to the team of 100 Yards Football, thank you. I wouldn't be the person I am. I wouldn't be where I'm at. To my man, Mr. Ronnie Keebler. To Mr. Logan Landers. To the Florida State great Atlanta Falcons finest, Mr. Bobby Butler. To Mr. Mark Denham, I want to say thank you here on 100 Yards Football. Well, today it's a special video because we honor a young man that I would say, when you're looking at the National Football League, and there's been so many great players, when Tom Brady retired, him, as a lot of people saying, the golden, especially the quarterback position, you've had so many great players that's been Super Bowl MVPs, from Joe Namath to Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, as we speak, Joe Montana. But this gentleman right here has a little bit more, in my mind, a little more luster and sauce on the MVP award as he done winning the Super Bowl January the 31st, 1988, because he became the first African-American to do that at a high level. And I look at my life as being a sports fan from Memphis, Tennessee to 901 in my 62 years of life. There's been a lot of great sports moments in my life that just get you up to a level that it chills through your body. And you look at the 87 season and just look how God can be in the plan for this young man right here. He was a first-round pick of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Things didn't work out in his years in Tampa. They didn't want to pay him. And he was making $120,000 in Tampa before he went on and tried his career in the USFL. He was I believe, maybe the 15th or 12th highest paid quarterback in the league at that time, and being a first-round pick. Shame on you, Tampa Bay organization. Then he went over to the USFL, had some injuries, then had to come back in the league as a backup. Think about that, as a backup. He was a 7-year veteran on the Washington Redskins team that was very talented. And what's so ironic about that Washington Redskins team, they had some very special players. That season in 1987, their defense was nice. Charles Mann, Dexter Manley, Oklahoma State, Todd Bowles, who's now the coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How ironic. Alvin Walton out of the University of Kansas, and the great Darrell Green. I'm not even going to get on the offensive side of the ball. But here was a guy, Doug Williams, that had to take the role as a backup. And make no bones, it was a strike season that year in 87. But the starting quarterback, Dre Schrader, struggled that year. Kind of lost the team. And I would say this, before I get to moments to compare Doug Williams in my life, out of all this, I got to give a lot of respect to the head coach, Joe Gibbs. Man, you had kahunas to put your starting quarterback on the bench, who's Caucasian at the time, I'm sorry, a very talented guy that had a big arm, to go to Doug Williams and see Doug Williams was 0-2 in that year as a backup starter, to make him the starter for the playoffs. I want everyone that's listening to the video to think about that. Doug Williams was 0-2 as a starter during the regular season. I haven't played real well, I'm be honest. But Joe Gibbs saw something in him that it can ignite that football team. And he played average, and they wins over Chicago and Minnesota. Actually, Darrell Green saved the Redskins that year, in my homeboy, the pride of Memphis, Tennessee. Barry Wilburn led the league in interceptions that year, made the Pro Bowl, All Pro. His daddy, Jesse Wilburn, one of the greatest football players in Tennessee State history, and his mother, an outstanding track athlete. So I was very in tune with the Redskins, and I remember them 2 playoff games against the Bears. Darrell Green had to bail him out with a 52-yard punt return, and then Darrell Green made the play at the goal line, knocking the ball away from Darren Nelson of Minnesota, and the Redskins were on to the Super Bowl. Hail to the Redskins! Hail to victory! But leading up to that week, Super Bowl week, Doug Williams got powered with questions. How does it feel to be the first black quarterback? Basically what they're saying, can you stand up against John Elway? And as I thought about putting this video together last night, I was thinking about so many things during that season. And I was living in Loudon, Tennessee, which is about 40 miles from Knoxville. And I actually watched the game over my ex-mother-in-law's house, Mrs. Barbara Kerr. Shouts out to you, Miss Kerr. Much love, Miss Bob. And I was thinking about the game, and I was thinking about this. Doug Williams, it's 1987. The point of no return that year by Exposed. Then I was thinking about Girls, Motley Crue. Then I was saying Doug Williams answering all those questions. Wanted dead or alive, Bon Jovi. But then I said Doug Williams, after the game, he's going to have a Pleasure Principle by Janet Jackson. First quarter, if you remember, Denver jumped out to a 10-0 lead. Ricky Nattil burned my homeboy Barry Wilburn for a 56-yard touchdown. And then Denver came back and kicked a field goal to go up 10-0. But if you remember that game, Doug Williams went back, fell back, and looked like he had a serious knee injury. And honestly, I didn't think he'll come back into the game. But in the second quarter, when he went for 4 touchdowns in that second quarter, and he started with that 80-yarder to Ricky Sanders, then he came back with that 27-yarder to Gary Clark. Then in between, Timmy Smith had that 58-yard run. Then he came back to Ricky Sanders again, 50 yards. Then Clint Dittler on that 8-yard touchdown. 4 touchdowns in the second quarter. The Redskins, the 135 straight points, I should call them the Commandos. The whole world was shocked. I'm sorry. Doug Williams was throwing dimes. And during that time, while I was watching the game in Loudon, Tennessee, in the living room of my mother-in-law at that time, Mrs. Barbara Kerr, all I could think about was moments Doug Williams is going to be on that Mount Rushmore, such as when Ali beat Liston 64 in Miami, or the young man from Galileo, O.J. Simpson, 64-yard touchdown run against UCLA. Number 1 versus number 2. And then Ali and Zaire winning the title from George Foreman. And then in 88, when Mike Tyson knocked out Michael Spinks in New Jersey. Those moments right there send chill bumps through your body. And that's what I thought about Doug Williams on the performance that day in the Super Bowl. And when I think about him this past 2 weeks and how they kind of honored him in his previous Super Bowl, I was very happy for Douglas Williams, Grambling University, Zachary, Louisiana. Because when you look what he did, he made a very strong point that the African American can play this position. That's why 10 of them are playing right now and starting in the National Football League. And that's why he opened the doors for people like Randall Cunningham, Michael Vick, Warren Moon, But think about what Doug Williams, what he represented that day of that performance in the second quarter. And all I could think about last night was Cornelius Green at Ohio State, Dennis Franklin at Michigan, Eddie Mashan at Georgia Tech, Reggie Collier at Southern Mississippi, Condit Holloway, University of Tennessee, Marlon Briscoe, Omaha, Denver Broncos, Joe Gilliam Jr., Tennessee State, Eldridge Dickey, Tennessee State, Tommy Redman, University of Missouri, Michael Vick's head coach in high school, Vince Evans, USC, the city of LA, Compton, Phil Bradley at Missouri, and Jimmy Jones at USC, 1970 versus Alabama in Birmingham, 41-20. That performance right there was standing up for all those guys who never got their chance on that level. And I sat back and I just said, wow, I'm honored. I'm proud. And all you HBCU media outlets out there, you kind of soft-hearted honor Doug Williams, but you don't do your job. So Swag Central, HBCU Sports Nation, I hope after you see this video today that we need to put this man on a Mount Rushmore, some of the greatest achievements of African-American athletes. And then John Carlos and Tommy Smith, Mexico City, 1968. Doug Williams, 18-29, 340 yards, 4 touchdowns in the second quarter, 4 touchdowns and a half. Super Bowl MVP, the first African-American to win the Super Bowl. And it took him 7 years as a starting quarterback and a backup quarterback to reach that pinnacle. But he opened the doors for that position for a lot of young kids out there, African Americans, that can play this position at a high level. And I had a conversation before I end the video today. I was working on Saturday here in the Atlanta area. I was on Cleveland Avenue, and I got a call from a gentleman. I ain't gonna put his name out there, but he's a very good friend of mine. And he got to talking about the African-American quarterback position. And so much he was saying that the stigma was these people are not smart enough. Well, I told him, go back and think about this. When Doug Williams went into the 1978 draft, he had the highest grade of any quarterback pre-draft in the history of the NFL. And the guy that did the scouting was Joe Gibbs, because he was assistant at Tampa Bay under John McKay. Everything about Doug Williams, from arm strength, the thinking ability, to reading defenses, it came A's. It was the best prospect they've had ever came in the league. And he played at Grambling. So I was trying to tell this gentleman that that's not the problem. You can do anything in life if you put the time in. And how that got installed in me to my great business partner, who's like a brother to me, Ronnie Keeble. We have a philosophy at 100 Yards Football. You could be anything that you want to be. The first thing, do you love it? And 2, are you going to make the commitment? And it don't matter how long it takes. It might not never reach the plateau that you want, but you can be successful if you put the time. Is this what you really want to do? See, Doug Williams wanted to be on that platform, and he got his opportunity, and he showed the nation, and he changed the position. 18-29, 340 yards, 4 touchdowns in the second quarter. I think that's still a record. 4 touchdowns in 1 quarter, passing. And he became a starter during the playoffs, and kudos to his head coach, Joe Gibbs. And kudos to that Redskins team, Gary Clark, Ricky Sanders, Timmy Smith, and my homeboy from the 901 Orange Mound, Melrose High School, Barry Wilburn. I'm sorry, I got to put it out there. The 901, Memphis, Tennessee. If you like the video today, please come in and share. We'll surely appreciate here 100 yards of football. Again, thanks to my team, Mr. Jeremiah Long, thank you. To Mr. Logan Landers, thank you. To Mr. Bobby Butler, thank you. To Mr. Ronnie Keebler, thank you. To Mr. Mark Bass, thank you. To Mr. A.J. Morris, thank you. To Mr. Donnell Scott, thank you. And of course, to my family in Memphis, Tennessee. My mother and father just had their birthdays. Inez, my mother turned 84. Chester, my father, turns 86. And to my uncle, Mr. Opie Turner. And of course, to my 3 beautiful sisters, Bridget, New Orleans, Rhonda, Nashville, Stephanie, in Memphis. I couldn't be more happier this morning. Thank you for watching us here on 100 Yards Football. It's all the way live, baby. God bless. I'm Vincent Turner. Y'all be blessed.